Good afternoon, councillors and officers and visitors. Welcome to our council ordinary meeting for this Tuesday, 6th of April 2021. I just, in welcoming you all, I think the first item is the council meeting information. So I just, yes. So members of the public gallery should note that the council records and publishes council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate time during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the council meeting but who wish to communicate with the council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors and councillors ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Next, we'll have the Acknowledgement of Country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. And now the prayer. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. So next we have apologies, and we have apologies this afternoon from Councillor Hull and Councillor Marr. I would just like to note that unfortunately at the present time Councillor Hull is away due to sick leave, and I would just like to wish him all the very best at this time for his recovery. I'd also just like to note, for the benefit of anyone watching the meeting, councillors, that we are able to maintain social distancing due to the fact that we've got two less councillors present. So yes, hang on. So that at this stage we're working within the social distancing guidelines. We will be able to discard our masks for this meeting under the safety rules. So thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is the declaration of conflicts of interests. I don't believe we have any conflicts of interest at this meeting. No. A confirmation of minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of March, yes.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of 16th March 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Second to Councillor Bye. Thank you, Councillor Bye. Is there any opposition to that motion being adopted? No, I'll declare it carried. Thank you very much. Then we move on to business arising. There's no business arising from the last meeting. Next we have acceptance of late and urgent items, and I believe there is a late item. Oh, Councillor Crosley, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This has got time constraints, that's why it's a late item. So I'd like to move that the Council report Resource Recovery Gippsland Local Government Waste Forum Chairperson nomination be accepted as a late item.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Bye, thank you. Any opposition to the acceptance of a late item? No, I declare it carried. And now we'll deal with the late item. Councillor Crosley again.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. I move that Council nominate Councillor John Tatterson as chairperson of the Resource Recovery Gippsland Local Government Waste Forum.
Thank you, Councillor Crossley. Do I have a... Councillor Mackenzie, thank you. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that motion? No? I'll declare it carried. Councillor Crossley?
Thank you very much. This is an important position, and I presume you've accepted the nomination. We should ask.
That's a good idea.
The Resource Recovery Gippsland is a Gippsland-wide organisation that of the 6 Gippsland councils: Bass Coast, Bawbaw, East Gippsland, Latrobe City, South Gippsland, and of course Wellington. It also engages with community groups, schools, business industry across that the Greater Gippsland. This is important. Waste is a huge issue in local government. It's a very big budget item, and it's very important that we view it as a resource and look at how we can recover and provide waste services and hopefully move to a circular economy. This is dealing with municipal waste, commercial and industrial waste, and construction and demolition waste. So it's a major issue across Gippsland. The Resource Recovery Group is governed by a board of directors, and we've also got Councillor Gail Marr is already on that board. And now that the forum is there to support and effectively operate and give Resource Recovery Gippsland the resources to do its job. Councillor John Tatterson is previously and currently representing Wellington Shire through his previous role in that area, so it's appropriate that he has the skill, expertise and knowledge to be a very good chairperson of that area, so we'll certainly nominate with confidence in John Tatterson in that role.
Thank you, Councillor Crossley, and thank you for accepting the nomination, Councillor Tatterson. The next item on the agenda, notices of motion. There are no notices of motion. Then the next item is receiving of petitions or joint letters. We have no current petitions or joint letters. Next item, invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. Again, we have no items in that section this afternoon. Questions on notice is the next item. We have no outstanding questions on notice at this time. Then the next item is delegates reports. There are no delegates reports, I believe, councillors, this afternoon, correct? Yes. So no delegates reports. The next item is the Chief Executive Officer's report, item 11.1, and that is the Wellington Shire Tafe Gippsland Federation University MOU. Councillor Wood, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to recommend that the Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with Federation University and Tafe Gippsland and continue to work in partnership with both organisations to improve educational outcomes for Wellington Shire residents.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I'll thank Councillor Tatterson. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that motion? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Wood.
Thank you. Federation Uni, Tafe Gippsland and Wellington Shire have a shared interest in advancing and supporting tertiary education, improving job outcomes and applied research in Wellington. While the MOU is non-binding, it sets a strong statement of intent for Council to partner with the region's key vocational and tertiary education providers to improve tertiary and post-compulsory vocational training for Wellington Shire residents. The MOU will facilitate a working relationship between the parties, lead to more collaborative activities through skills, education, research, innovation and entrepreneurship, and culture, livability and well-being. Tafe also delivers diploma courses and certificate courses, which are very important to a number of residents in the Wellington Shire. I've noticed that the building is well underway and I look forward to watching the progress.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Next item is item 12, Assembly of Councillors. Thank you, Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Council records for the period 8th of March 2021 to the 28th of March 2021.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Is there any opposition to that motion? No? I'll declare it carried. Councillor Bye.
All good, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Next item is item 13, is the Place Names Committee. Oh, Councillor Crossley, thank you.
Too far. Yes, thank you. I move that 1, Councillor Rossetti be appointed chairperson of the Place Names Committee. And 2, Council receive and note that the minutes of the Place Name Committee meeting held on the 23rd of February 2021. And 3, Council advertise and advise adjoining property owners that the trafficable section of Earl Street, west of High Street, Woodside, be renamed Blue Wren Way, and if no objections are received within 30 days, then the name be registered with Geographic Names Victoria. And 4, Council advise and advise adjoining property owners that the government road of Delmore Road, Dargo, be named Phelan Road in recognition of the Phelans, who have a long association with the area, and if no objections are received within 30 days, then the name be registered with Geographic Names Victoria. And 5, the name McNally in recognition of Leonard James McNally, who was a butcher who served the Stratford area for over 40 years, be added to the council-approved road name register. And Bryakalong Close is no longer a court and therefore should become Bryakalong Way. Prior to renaming the road, confirmed with Gunai Land and Water Aboriginal Corporation if the spelling is now Bryakalong, and if so, then rename Bryakalong Close to Bryakalong Way, and register. Going up now, and register with Geographic Names Victoria. And 7, the name Shoeback in recognition of Don Shoeback's contribution to the sports and business in Sale area be added to the council-approved road name register for future use in the Sale area for a road or alternatively a community facility bearing in mind compliance with the current naming rules.
Well done, Councillor Crossley. Do I have a second? Councillor Bye, thank you. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that motion? If not, I declare it carried. Councillor Crossley.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. There were some other decisions that aren't recorded in that very long process. That we were approached by the Gippsland. Where is it? I've lost my place now. Women in Gippsland to affirm Wellington Shire Council's support for putting her name first, a campaign to make sure that women of significance were considered and placed on the register. Certainly that it was decided that we would support this, and also would write a letter in support, and also put in a submission to the Geographic Names Victoria on this matter. The difficulty there being that currently, and it was most brought to an example on the meeting, that there was a request for a Helen Place in recognition of a woman, obviously, and the surname is Collins. But as the Geographic Names of Victoria, the rules are that you can't have first names. So once you have the name was accepted as Collins, nobody actually knows the gender of that name. Likewise, Bunting was submitted as a prominent settler in the district, and it was submitted as he was the prominent settler because his wife gave birth to the first child. I would have thought the woman was more prominent in that partnership, but again, because it's only the surname is registered and able to be registered, then there's no definition of the gender. So we need to change those rules if we're going to have a recognition of that gender equality going forward. But we certainly support it, and we'll encourage members of the community, and we'll be calling on the various heritage groups to submit appropriate names, and certainly with the program of recognising Anzacs, we certainly received some nominations of serving women in that process. So we certainly encourage it, and we hopefully that the geographic names Victoria, not known for its adventurousness, but perhaps it may review this process so that gender equality and recognition can be seen in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Next item is item 14, and 14.1 is the Council Committees and Committees of Management highlights. Do we have a... Oh, thank you, Councillor Crosley.
Having a busy night. I move that Council receives the reports highlighting activities and achievements of various Council advisory committees and community facility committees of management for the period November 2020 to February 2021.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Oh, thank you, Councillor Wood. Is there any opposition to that motion? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you. This is a first of these reports, a little bit different than we've done previous years, in that we're highlighting over time and reviewing many of the community groups that not necessarily were previously under the old Section 86 committees that used to have to present their minutes of their meetings, but we thought it was appropriate that we acknowledge the work that the various communities, committees and other committees of council are doing on a regular basis. So as I say, this is the first one of that style. There was a couple of things that I thought were pertinent and of interest in that, and it did revolve around COVID-19 and various plans. The Wellington Living Well During COVID Committee and looking at Pandemic Recovery Committee has drafted a plan, and will be using and putting that out in a infographic and for the community to have a look at and give feedback. We had been having it circulating for a while, so this is sort of the final stage of getting the community's feedback on that, so that'll be going through the new system of Your Wellington, Your Say, community engagement process, as well as looking at other alternate engagements to get the community's feedback on that. This has certainly been the community is certainly interested in this, and we certainly hope that we get plenty of feedback on this final document. Also ongoing to that is the Business Boost Reference Group. They, again, there's been community members as well as staff and councillors involved in this process, and it's certainly looking at the economic impacts, priorities on how we address those impacts, and ideas on what can be done to address those. The other interesting thing that I certainly got some feedback when I was wandering down when we had the community engagement process down in Yarram, and there were many traders that gave me feedback that they really appreciated the coordination of the Victorian Council of Churches Emergency Ministry, contacting research down there, the business groups, and congratulations our economic development team, who've been working very hard connecting with businesses, supporting them, directing them in places where they can get funding support and also welfare support. So it was really much appreciated in the community down there, that they felt that they were listened to and were well supported. So congratulations to the team there, and also to the other businesses that are engaged in that very important process. Also, I might add that certainly when we were talking with the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, bit of a mouthful, that the feedback that we had there from the government agencies that the Wellington Shire was well ahead of most other shires in Victoria in making these plannings and approaching this pandemic in a most methodical process. And it was probably noted that we're quite used to responding to emergencies and also having engaged with all the agencies that we had looked at pandemic planning through that process. So I think it gave us a really good background and experience to actually move into this unknown territory, and certainly the response that we've had from, as I say, business and other organisations to support the process have been fantastic. But this is also the continued impact on our facilities, the wedge, and all of our facilities, like community facilities, have lost income over this time and lost activity. It's really great that we actually can now, I think we can dance now, so and get back into all the various sports. So there's also that assistance there. And if I can draw attention to the fact that last council meeting we did set aside a new grant system to support community organisations that have been impacted and lost revenue through that process, to support them getting back on their feet and responding positively into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crosley. The next item, councillors, is item 14.2, is the Sale Tennis Redevelopment Project. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the Council approve a contribution to the Sale Tennis Club of $100,000, matching an allocation made by the John Leslie Foundation to enable the club to tender for a specialist contractor to deliver an alternative Ontuka tennis court designed for 7 remaining undeveloped courts subject to the Sale Tennis Club redevelopment project.
Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Is there any opposition to that motion? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. I just thought I'd refresh what this project actually is. If anyone's been at the Sale Tennis Club, for one, I started juniors there, and it was a great club, but the Ontuka courts were well past their use-by date. What this project entailed was an upgrade to the clubhouse. We now have full view of all of the courts through glass windows, which is a big improvement. So if you haven't been up there, go up and have a look. If it's a rainy, windy day, they'll still play tennis usually on Ontuka courts, but you can have 100% visibility. Also, all of the lights are being upgraded. The lights were quite poor previously. Now they're new LED lights, which are fantastic to play night tennis under. So I recommend to all councils to go up and have a hit under the night tennis and see what the lights are like. The 14 courts that are there have all been, or are going to be all upgraded. Part of the problem though with Ontuka courts is it's very specialised. It's not just whack a bit of dirt down, put a bit of red dust on top, put a few white lines down and have a hit of tennis. It's very specialised. What this motion tonight is just to complete the remaining 7 courts. The 5 courts that were upgraded are, I think, nearly finished. When I was up the other day, I think they're nearly done. And what we're doing now is upgrading the remaining 7 courts. The remaining 8 courts. Which will mean the whole facility then is all going to be 100% upgraded, which would be fantastic. 7 courts there is, we've done 5 already. This money that we got from the John Leslie Foundation, $100,000, we thank the John Leslie Foundation for doing that for us. The council has matched it with another $100,000. That will mean this massive project will be 100% completed. We've got 2 tournaments coming up at the complex. They are in, I think, end of July and about September. We'll be able to use this new upgraded facility and have a showcase. What this has done is really put Sale on the map. There is not many Ontuka court facilities in Victoria, let alone Australia, that will have this result for the facility. It should mean that a lot of people will hopefully come here for events in the future, and it'll be great for our community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Bye. The next item, 14.3, is the Archibald Prize 2021 marketing tender. Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the Council approve funding of $150,000 to allow commencement of a tender process for a specialist consultant to assist Council with marketing of the Archibald Prize 2021 Regional Tour Exhibition at the Gippsland Art Gallery from October 8 to November 21.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Is there any opposition to that motion? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. Gippsland Arts Gallery has been named by the Art Gallery of New South Wales as the sole Victorian host of the venue to host the 2021 Archibald Prize Regional Tour. However, therefore, with the announcement by the Art Gallery of New South Wales, which only was made public in December 2020, funding was not allocated in the 2020 to 21 council budget, hence why we moved today of the $150,000 allowance for council to put into the tender. The project budget includes all costs and revenues, has been included in the draft of the 2021-22 council budget, and project revenue is budgeted to exceed the project costs. As a requirement for the tender, the successful tender to be approved, they need to provide the creation and presentation and delivery of an extensive media and marketing strategy that addresses the marketing campaign objectives, establishment and maintenance of an effective working relationship with Wellington Shire Council Archibald Prize team and communications and media team, and leveraging of Council's existing funding campaigns through Destination Gippsland, Central Gippsland Tour, tourism in the middle of everywhere, maximisation of public relations opportunities, outcomes of research and consultation fed into campaign development and direction, overseeing the development of content creation and delivery of social media, print and other media avenues excuse me, that align with the promotion of Gippsland art, the Archibald Prize, the Middle of Everywhere campaigns and Greater Gippsland, along with the supply of approved campaign components within timelines established and approved budgets, and finally quantitative evaluation of the campaign after its conclusion. So this is why we need to have the budget approved for $150,000 as a maximum for the campaign to be done, because as they say, if you build it, they will come, and we expect thousands upon thousands of people to be here between October and November this year. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Mackenzie. The next item on our agenda is the further gallery and online comments. There's a young person in the gallery. Did you want to come forward and say something? Yes. Just before you do, if you just come forward, I just have to read the gallery and online comment sheet. So gallery comments are an opportunity for members of the public to raise any particular matter they wish. This allows those in the gallery to speak directly to councils, but is not a forum designed for open discussion or debate. We will listen respectfully to what you have to say and make the commitment that if your query requires a written response, we will advise you that a response will be forthcoming and a copy of that response will be circulated to all councillors. This is not a forum for members of the public to lodge complaints against individuals, including councillors and staff, particularly as that individual gets no public right of reply to any matter raised. We take complaints seriously, and in line with the guidance from the Victorian Ombudsman and the Local Government Inspectorate, we request that any specific complaint against an individual be put in writing. This way, your concern can be properly dealt with whilst ensuring fairness to all parties concerned. If you wish to speak, we remind you that this part of the meeting is being recorded and broadcast on our website. Council official minutes will record that you have spoken to council and the subject you spoke to council about, but will not record specific comments. We ask you to state your name in full, where you're from, and you have 3 minutes. So please tell us your name and where you're from, and then your time starts.
My name is Adam Newman. I'm not actually from Wellington Shire, but I have close family who live here. And I would like to speak on two things. Firstly, I've noticed that there have been signs that have been erected around Stratford, Maffra, Sale that show the location to certain areas of interest, like parks, the town centre, and I think those are very helpful. I'd just like to say that. And in regards to library services, I'm not sure if this is the council's responsibility, but I'm aware that it's Wellington Shire libraries, so would that fall under council responsibility? Okay. I think that it would be beneficial to many residents of the Shire if the library opening times were to be extended. I've noticed there was, this obviously might not be practical in a lot of places, but it might be worth considering something similar to what's happening in Foster Library, where they, I think, began opening it for 24 hours. With the help of a grant from the federal government and the local library service. And that could be worth considering in some local areas. It's helped a lot of, there's been, I believe, sort of onboard training for the people who want to come in 24 hours. There must be library members, they need to have training on how to get in, how to operate it, security. And I believe it costs $92,000. Now obviously that's not a small figure, it would need to be considered, but especially in more remote areas of the Shire where it can be difficult to access services such as internet, and where it can be very helpful to local residents, these library services. I think that could be something worth considering. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much, Ash, for that. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, have we got any online comments, Mr. CEO?
None, Mayor.
Oh, thank you very much. That leads us to item 16, and I do believe there is a need to move into closed session. So, who?
I move, Mayor, I move that the meeting be closed to public pursuant to Section 662 of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider matters under Section 665B as defined by Section 3(1), BF, personal information. Thank you for that highlight.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. And do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Bye, thank you. Any opposition to that move into closed session? No. I'll declare that motion carried, and we are now in closed session. Thank you, David.